How many Excel documents do you have open at one time?
These days, actually none. Like it is all LinkedIn. It's all just like, reaching out to people. It's very little Excel, interestingly enough.
How is that even possible?
I don't know.
Like you're Excel daddy.
I know. I took a break from content for a long time for a few reasons. I think the biggest thing for me has always been the quality of content. When I first started, I just had no quality. I just like did the effect, tried to make it fun and sarcastic, and I still love that. I like the character that I made. I just didn't feel like it was the highest quality content. I didn't ever show myself. Like most people, I've met a lot of people over the years who are like, "Oh, Excel Daddy, I totally follow you. I've seen your videos before," and I never showed myself because I wanted people to know who I was for this and not for what I look like.
Who cares?
I know now, but I think at the time that was just a big thing. Like I grew up hating social media and it made me feel insecure about a lot of things. And that's not something I wanted to carry over into my professional and adult life. So I just decided, I don't know if I want this to be what I'm known as, right? But now I don't really care because I'm trying to build out my business in a few different ways.
But I mean, like, don't you think you've like vilified the tool as opposed to the process of people consuming on the other side of the tool?
Yeah, I think it's
I hate TVs.
I think you're right. I definitely think it is people at the end of the day that really like, they're the ones impacting what's successful on social. And obviously they're the one commenting and kind of building out, what they're doing. But I think it's not the tool that I really kind of take it out on. I guess it's just the general consumer. I think the biggest thing for me is like, I don't necessarily want to give people that ammo. And I kind of wanted to stay out of it because personally, like I didn't want to be known as a creator. I think over time that's kind of changed. Like I do see the value in being a creator. I do see the value in really being in this community, but that isn't what I wanted to be known as. Like have you ever seen those Daily Mail articles where they're like, this creator has 80,000 followers and they died or something like that?
Well, I mean, nobody writes their own obituary. And like the editorial is done by someone other than the journalist. So the journalist writes the story and the editorial writes the title. So like you're 4 people removed and like they're going to say whatever sells space.
Totally. I think just from my side of things, like that's not what I wanted to be known as, I didn't want to be known as Excel Daddy. I didn't want to be known as a creator. I wanted to do a lot. I wanted to do and be a lot more. And I think I devalued what it meant to be a creator because I just didn't look at it from that, place of power, which I think being a creator really is. Like you have a lot of influence over people and you can do really incredible things and you can leverage that to succeed in a lot of different ways. But I don't think I really looked at it that way for a long time. But
what is this big overarching thing that you think that you need to be? Like as opposed to Excel Daddy, or maybe you don't feel that way anymore. It sounds like you've kind of grown around that idea. But what is that big overarching?
I need to get paid. That's like rent.
Yeah,
like that's really like
no. We sold out a long time ago, but
like,
you have like dreams and morals stuff.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember what that's like.
Yeah.
I think so. Like from a professional standpoint, I went into the work world with like very big eyes, like thinking I was going to change the world, like become Steve Jobs. I mean, that's not realistic, but like,
why not? Steve thought he was going to become Steve. So
I think the big thing for me is like, I've wanted to create a product and do something that I felt like really kind of changed the world. And I didn't know if Excel Daddy was going to be that thing. I think what I've realized, so like every time I went into the work world, I always came in with a lot of ideas. Like that was my big thing. I came in very ambitious, very entrepreneurial, trying to do things differently than what I had seen in the workspace.
So you were annoying. You annoyed.
Yeah, I was annoying. Yeah, people didn't like me.
I'm trying. I get that.
I like that.
I'm
I
with
dig
them. I want to back up though, because I think there's something really interesting here.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. Why do you think so many people followed all these Excel accounts? Like I think your assumption's like crazy. Like, why do you think people are following those?
Because every single person who has a job uses this.
There you go. So how could you have a bigger impact than helping people figure out Excel? Like that's the number one job skill in job listings.
I think for me, it wasn't about Excel. It was just being a creator in general. Like going back to your point, and I'm not trying to dismiss what you're asking, but it's, I really wanted to be like I really wanted to be like a CEO of a major company. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I was going to do or like how I was going to get there. Like to give you an example, when I went to TikTok, we didn't have, are you guys familiar with boosted TikToks?
Yeah.
So we didn't have that. So I didn't come from the social media space. I didn't come from marketing or media. 3 weeks in, I go to the head of one of the parts of the company that I'm part of, Global Business Solutions. And I'm basically like, brands are not putting money towards our platform. They're not paying a dime with us because we're potentially going to get banned. I think that we need to have something on the back. Like we need to teach them how to make really great organic content, right? We need to have them understand how they build on this platform natively and successfully instead of just advertising because it's not working and it's not going to work. So I said, well, once we do that, once we provide that education and insight, well, they're putting out more content. We can kind of flip a switch on the back end and turn that into advertising. And anything that's socially validated and successful from an organic standpoint, we can then put money behind that. That is boosted TikToks. Right? I pitched that my 3rd week at TikTok. They said, no, we're never going to do it. 3 months later, it comes out. I'm not the only person in the world to think of this idea. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like, that was kind of what I envisioned. I liked being in a place where they already had the opportunity to kind of scale out. I built in this other idea called TikTok TV. Pitched it to the head of content partnerships. I built out a 40-page deck basically talking through distribution strategy, advertising partnerships, content that we would essentially need. I said, hey, like I can go do this for $1 million, $2 million, whatever. Not the product, but the content itself. Like to me, what I noticed was that like when I sit on my ass watching TV on my couch, I have my phone in my hand, my computer on my lap, and my TV all playing. Happens to you guys? You guys do that
Sometimes.
too? Sometimes.
Well, last night we were watching TV and I said to my wife, why don't we go to bed and we can turn on the TV in there and watch our phones in bed instead of on the couch.
But multiple screens, right?
For sure.
And my thought was, why isn't it all TikTok?
Why does like here's one for you.
Yeah.
Like you're dating or married to someone. Why are they mad if you're watching? They're looking at their phone. They got the TV on, and then they're like, oh, you got your phone on.
I haven't been in that situation.
You haven't been able to solve that problem. See? Now you could solve that problem and you would be a hero amongst men.
I mean, it sounds like a pretty good idea. You guys have a tech platform coming out for that at some point?
No, you don't need a tech platform. I think mostly you need human behavioral process change. Like most problems are not technological solutions. They're behavior solutions. Like cybersecurity, that's just a waste of it. That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I mean, I prefer not to get hacked. I always think every time something wrong with my computer, every time something happens with my computer and it goes a little bit wrong, I'm like, oh no, I'm hacked. What are they seeing? What are they seeing that I'm doing?
Seeing everything.
I mean,
just on your ISP, right?
Yeah.
Like, they see everything. So like, it's somewhere. If the computer is big enough, it can process it. So, but I mean, I think really, why do you think why they said no to you on the boosted? I mean, I have an idea. Being an executive in a large organization, I have an idea.
Yeah, so. I think they aren't the ones really kind of calling the shots at the end of the day. It's the higher powers that be that kind of determine the strategy and the approach for what they're doing. I also think, maybe they probably already have people kind of working on this stuff in the back end, and the priorities that they have are different than what, I'm coming in.
What if I told you they would say no to anything someone coming in said in their first 3 weeks?
I'm not surprised.
Like the first month of any job, like your job is to not tell them all the things.
Yeah, I know. I'm bad at that. I get in there and like, I just see stuff that's wrong. And it's not that it's like any company sucks and that they don't know what they're doing. Clearly it's working. Clearly they've built out something incredible. But like my whole positioning on life is like, we have to constantly evolve and change. If you stay static or if you stay content with how you've built, what you're doing, and you're not going to grow as a business or as an individual. And I think that's kind of how I approach it. I thought, ideas come from anywhere. If you're at a flat organization, like that's the goal. And I left Nielsen being a 40,000 person, 100-year-old plus company thinking I was going to go to a quote unquote startup and that I had that freedom to kind of pitch. But it's rare and hard to find that anywhere. So
no, you have to concate a lot of small wins. I mean, to have the trust in you, which like nobody chooses a good idea. They choose a person.
Yeah.
And they choose a person based upon trust. And trust is pretty simple. It's like, someone said this to me the other day. He's like, trust is the 3 C's: capability, character, and some other one.
Communication.
Yeah. I didn't listen. I stopped listening. No, just kidding. He's probably watching. But no, I mean, in all honesty, like that trust, it doesn't build up, and it's not an idea. So everybody that says yes to something, if you invert the relationship and you think about it, and you come to me and you pitch me something, and I say yes, I've just bet almost everything every single time.
Sure.
Like, especially if it's big enough that you can, like. So it's a really, I think a lot of people, especially junior in their career, people that haven't stepped on as many landmines, maybe as certainly myself, don't recognize that it's a more political human behavioral component.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, my first ever job. So my first ever job, I had an annual review, and I was like, I want to be doing more. I want to be doing this. Like, I want to progress faster. I want to be, moving more in my career. And my boss was like, slow down, be a little bit more like a robot. Just get the job done. Like, we're hiring you for this specific thing. This is what we want you to do. And I think that was just kind of the disillusionment that I had.
Yeah, that's a horrible thing to say.
Yeah.
Well, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and I was, I'm friendly with the guy, and it was just like very upsetting to hear. And I think the big thing for me was like, I was always disillusioned by this idea of like going to a company and building and like finding success and finding opportunity. And I think, same thing happened with me at TikTok. I tried to move around to different places in the company. I tried to move to different teams. I tried to move further ahead in my specific role, but I didn't like what I did. I didn't feel challenged. And I think that's always been my biggest issue in the workspace is like, eventually over time, you're just doing the job.
Did you think like when you went to college, there'd be a bunch of smart people, and then were you disappointed?
I knew where I went. I went to Tulane, and I thought it's a good school.
You're the second Tulane person.
Yeah, well, Sarah and I know each other. Yeah.
Oh, really?
We met about 6-8 months ago.
She must know everybody in New York City, because I hear that a lot. I know Sarah.
Yeah, she's great. And I met some really smart people at Tulane, and I met a lot of really dumb people.
Yeah.
Well, but I've also, but I know a lot of people who go to the best schools, and like people get in because they work really hard in school.
Yeah,
it's not 100%.
About intelligence. There's not a varying degree on intelligence. Isn't the factor which makes success. So you have this anti-creator bias you're bringing to things.
Not at this point. Originally,
right? Yeah. You're bringing that to things. You're showing up at work. You're trying to hit boom, boom. You're trying to run, gun. Somebody tells you, be patient. That's probably what they said. I like to start meetings with, if you tell me to be patient, I might light you on fire. So I understand where you're coming from on that.
Yeah.
But it's right. It's still, patient means different things, right?
Sure.
And I think the way that was explained to you is different than, hey, you really need to get as many reps as you can in now, when the costs are not existential.
Sure.
That's a different conversation.
Completely different conversation, context, delivery.
Repetitions are helpful. You want to do as many in a safe place as you can.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you need some oversight, all those things. But yeah, we hired you to do this, right? How does that feel to hear you were hired to do a job? Because all of us are hired to do a job.
Sure.
And none of us are, hopefully, well, I guess I work with some people. I work at the state. So like some of those people are pretty happy to do that the rest of their life. But like, why would anyone want to be hired to do a job?
And I mean, you got to make money somehow, right? I think people can get complacent very easily. I knew somebody who worked, like Nielsen is one of those companies where there are lifers, like 20 plus, 30 plus years at the same company, like slowly progressing up the chain.
That sounds like death.
It sounds horrible. It sounds miserable. Like, I don't think I could ever do that. And
like, what is I'm a lifer at Nielsen.
I don't know.
How do you get that dorky? Like, what is that like?
I have no idea. I
What do
mean,
you think they do on Tuesday night?
they go home.
Shop for pocket protectors.
There you go. That's all they
Maybe
do.
like watch NBC TV. Like,
They have a quarterly happy hour, you know.
yeah.
They get coffee at the office.
You know, there's another phenomenon I really enjoy when people get excited to talk to like the boss.
Yeah, I know. They just get so stoked on like, you know,
Oh
kissing
my God,
ass.
I just saw the boss.
It's so crazy.
We're making him so much money.
Yeah. He's got a sweet place in the Hamptons. Do you?
Exactly,
no.
right.
He keeps telling me he'll bring me sometime.
Yeah, we're going for a round of golf this weekend. It never happens.
Yeah. And like, why would you want to play golf with your boss?
Nope.
Like, but people really like that always amuses me.
I don't know. I think it's crazy with, you know, the way that the work. I mean, I think the work world's going in a little bit of a different direction too. I think more people are freelancing. I see more people starting up their own companies, but it's hard. It is hard to build a business. Every 17-year-old on TikTok saying they're making $1 million a year is full of shit. Like it is a challenge. As somebody, like, I like to think I know this space pretty well. I like to think I have good connections. I've been able to get into good rooms. It is still really hard to build a business. And it's just, I do think I've been able to learn so much more. I've learned so much more doing my own things.
Yeah, for sure. It's the only way to learn at that level. If you want to be CEO, you have to learn in your 20s and 30s. There's no
100%. And you know what I noticed too is I took a look at some of the people who are like leading some of these companies and their path to success. Like some of these people worked at no name companies and were VPs at like 30. But like, I've never heard of the company. It no longer exists. Like maybe it was sold somewhere. Maybe they were doing something else. I don't know, but they were in a senior enough level that they could make an impact. Then they use that to they leverage that to then go to a much bigger company, utilizing that name, and then going to a larger size company as well. But
did you ever go see Alexander Hamilton? It's a play.
I never saw Hamilton. No.
No. All right. Mm-hmm. So there's a song in there where it's like, basically, they're making fun of Mr. Aaron Burr because he's not in the room. Mm-hmm. It's not in the room where it's decided. If you're not in the fucking room where it's decided, you don't matter. Yeah. Period.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you're in the room, even if you're not making the decision, you're learning how decisions are made.
100%.
Nobody lets you in the room. You either barge in.
Yeah.
Nobody mentors you to get in. Nobody helps you. You either barge in and like take that room and like by storm and conquest, or you're not worthy of being in the room.
That's, you know, it's interesting that you say like people aren't mentoring you to kind of get there. That's what I felt. I kind of was looking for somebody like that. And the reason why I mentioned Steve Jobs is because I always think to like, who is like, I was always kind of looking for my person who was like really charismatic, really ambitious, intelligent, you know, data forward, like really understood the workspace and was trying to progress at a really fast pace that I could kind of, you know, look up to and build a relationship with, and somebody who can kind of show me the ropes a little bit. And I never found that anywhere that I went. And kind of to your point before, like, yeah, nobody's going to just do that for you. But I was networking. I was trying to build the right relationships. I was trying to find somebody internally at these companies, and I never found it. And then I kind of just realized I have to do it myself.
Yeah.
I have to be that person for myself.
Without a doubt. And that doesn't mean you won't get mentorship in areas. That won't mean you won't get emotional support or friendship or any of those things. It just means like, hey, like you own this shit. And that's where I think the concept of the of the creator / entrepreneur, you know, really is such a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Because you can get those repetitions early. Mm-hmm. You can start a business at 22, 23, 24 and fail.
Yeah.
The pain is not as bad. You can start a business at 22, 23, 24. Succeeding is a much lower bar.
100%. You have no responsibility, no mortgage, no kids.
Sell your company at 25, break even. You're an exited entrepreneur. That's like
yeah.
So, you know, it's like where you do it. And the longer you wait, people always say, oh, I'm gonna wait till I'm gonna work at this big company. I'm gonna be an accountant. That's my favorite one. I'm gonna be an accountant, and then someday I'm gonna own my own business. I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah. I mean, I was fortunate. Like my parents are both entrepreneurs. My dad's a doctor, so he has his own practice. on the Upper East Side, and my mom has always been an entrepreneur. She works in fashion and beauty, and like tries to sell TV shows and like does a ton of stuff. So I've never had that traditional corporate person in my family, and I always kind of saw, corporate work was an end. Like to me, I ultimately wanted to go work in corporate to kind of get an understanding of what it felt like. To your point, like get the experience, understand how people are building in these spaces, like learn different things. Because I would have never been good at Excel if I didn't work at Nielsen.
Well, that's true.
I was in Excel every day, analyzing things like, smart water, Oatly before it was sold, like diapers, like everything in the CPG space I was analyzing.
My wife is in Excel every day, moving shoes across the world. Coach handbags, right?
Oh, very cool.
She does
logistics, operations over there?
Accounts.
Okay.
Right, yeah. So like she explains it to me like this, like most people think they know Excel, but that's like 95% of the world. They don't know anything about it except how to turn it on and sell it, sell by sell.
Yeah.
And then she's like, there's a couple people who are wizards. I think you might be a wizard. I don't know.
I do have the scar.
Do you
and the
do
glasses.
it without the mouse? It's all in the.
I'd say for a good amount of it.
That's where the wizardry happens.
Yeah, but to be honest with you,
I have not touched an Excel sheet.
Can you do the wizardry stuff? Oh, dude, they're like.
So here's the thing: it's just muscle memory and repetition. Right. All you really have to do is press the Alt key. That's it.
Which is wizardry.
If pressing a button is wizardry, you don't want to see what I can do with a wand.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's people that have to work at it, and they work in the business.
Totally.
And like, so she the way she explained it to me, so that's where I went to prep for this today. I was like, I thought we were going to talk about spreadsheets. So I'm like, what the fuck do I talk about? I don't go into spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Right? And she's like, she really got into that component of like, hey, like, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
I'm not great, but being good means I'm in the top 98% of all Excel users.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Like, and then you go up a whole nother.
It's, what I would say is there are definitely people who are better at Excel than me. Like the finance guys, the investment banking and hedge fund folks, they're insane. They're crazy good at this. How I've differentiated myself as a creator is I add character to it. Like there's some jokes, flirtations, sassiness, like I'll call you out and say, you're dumb. Like, you don't know this. Like, this is a joke. It's easy. Like, you should learn this because you should. Like, it is a skill that in any job you have, it will be absolutely vital to you. And if you understand data and how to manipulate it and to tell the story that you want and showcase certain things that you're trying to convey in your story when you're either pitching or working day to day with potential clients, like, it is the most valuable tool that you have in your toolbox.
So the same person that was lecturing me on the trust piece was like, never use data as a weapon.
Interesting.
And I was hoping you'd know why he said that. And he's a marketing guy and he knew Steve Jobs.
Okay.
So he was, marketing Apple.
What was the context of him saying?
We're just discussing this. We talk regularly, just career stuff, like and emotional intelligence and different things. And we're just discussing this. And my point was like, people buy things from people.
Yeah.
And he's like, absolutely. So he started going through the trust components. So people buy things from people. Data helps you tell a story.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be weaponized. Because then it becomes something different.
Yeah. So at least from what I understand, like it sounds like he's talking about it more as like a manipulation tactic. Like you can use data and information to understand how people approach certain things and how they think about certain things, right? Like you're purchasing data, stuff from your credit card, like you can have a pretty good the old saying or like things in TV shows where people be like, go check their garbage and like Law and Order. Like that's what that is. Like if you can see credit card information and you can see all this data on people, like you have a very strong understanding of who they are as individuals and what they care about in their lives. Is the same thing with like when you buy stuff on Amazon or Facebook and all these companies that have data. So I get why he's saying not to weaponize it. I think, the biggest thing for me about data is that it tells you facts. It's facts. And I think, if you're using it as a tool to help you build something creatively and to try to positively impact people, then it's great. But if you're using it as a tool to force your opinion on somebody that might not necessarily view things in a certain way just to change what they're thinking about, then it becomes something that is a little bit more weaponized. And I think that's, sometimes the problem with social media. I'm hoping I'm segueing into the right thing.
I think you took the leading question and ran with it.
Yeah.
This podcast is about creators, and it's about creatorship, and it's about turning those concepts, using the creator process to make businesses and make an income and own your own career.
Totally.
And so, like, one of the things that I would ask you is, considering your love of data and your data-driven approach, is what are 3 things that a new creator should be looking at from a data perspective?
Yeah. So first, obviously you can get the insights and analytics from your own accounts.
Yeah.
Those are fine. I think if you're putting out enough content and you're able to analyze what's succeeding, then it's great. My biggest thing, first tip, because I can obviously talk a lot and it's hard to sometimes segment it. First tip is just put out enough content to be able to analyze it.
Yeah.
That's enough. Like, that's somewhat similar enough. Like, everybody in the world is going to say, oh, change the hook, change the body, change this. But like, sure, change it, but then analyze what's actually happening.
If you've only put out 20 posts and 200 people are seeing each of them, you don't have a data.
You
don't have a data pool to set.
Yeah, you get no information, no insight. Like, you really just have to be putting out content to understand what's relevant. The other is just competitive analysis, right? Like, when I became a creator, I looked at the marketplace. I saw what other people were doing. Like, I genuinely think that, like, almost no idea at this point is completely original. Like, even like Mr. Beast is doing incredible things, but he recreated Squid Game. He did stuff. He did something with Howie Mandel and Deal or No Deal. Like, people are taking their own unique perspective on certain ideas and certain show concepts or content. Like, go out and analyze.
Innovating on something is perfectly okay.
100%.
It's creative, it's original, it's different.
100%.
You have to execute it. There's execution risk, there's execution quality, there's 100 million variables that go into it.
100%. But competitive analysis, I think, is the most important thing. One of the most important things. You have to watch enough content and see enough things that are actually going on, and then seeing why it's successful. Well, why did you like that video? So basically my thought would be, if you're a cooking creator and you're thinking about developing out cooking content, go look up 100 creators in the cooking space and see what they're doing differently in a unique way, right? Well, even if it's just writing down a bullet point or two, I watched 10 videos from Gordon Ramsay. Obviously, Gordon Ramsay announced, in a completely different level because he's a celebrity. But like, go to a creator with, I like this creator Ligier. I think that's his name, or Ligier. He's based in San Francisco. Doesn't know me. I don't know him. Super cool content. He was doing like molecular gastronomy. I love that shit. Like, the science of cooking.
You need to go to Colombia for food then.
Okay.
Yeah, just bring other people with you.
Then he started making content about like Michelin-starred restaurants all around the world. So he goes to like Noma and Botín in Madrid. And I think it's so cool. Go find 100 of those creators and see what they're doing uniquely. And then try to see, like, how can you incorporate the learnings and insights from what they're doing into your content, right? And you can very easily see what content is doing well and what content is doing poorly. And then you try to do what's doing well and do what's doing poorly. Like, if you don't want to put in the reps, like you're saying, you need to find the people that are putting in the reps and then taking that information.
So do you think you go and do just a bunch of shit first and then go do the competitive analysis, or do the competitive analysis and try to launch into the space?
I think it's good to just do it on your own first.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be able to see, like, content is hard. It is not easy. Like, you can think that you're going to make a really cool video and it doesn't work out.
They're all stupid.
Yeah. It's really hard. And I think,
people's resistance to stupid videos, by the way, is like the number one obstacle to them being successful.
It's confidence.
Yeah.
And I think, putting yourself out there is hard. It goes back to what I said before. Like, people will judge you. People will, talk about what you look like. People are really fucking mean. They really don't care.
I did not go through your comments, and that's usually like
mine are actually pretty good.
They are.
For the most part, people actually like
flexing like that.
I mean,
got good comments.
No, I think sometimes people are like, dude, no, you can do it this way faster or this way faster. Like, oh, you could be better at Excel. And I'm like, yeah, but nobody's really talking about me.
Yeah,
They're just like, you could do this one. Instead of it taking 8 seconds, you could take it in 7 seconds. And I'm like, congrats, dude. You saved 1 second of your life and you wasted 10 commenting on this shit.
Right.
So,
you got to do it 10 times now.
But I think just putting out content in general and having an understanding of how hard it is and what you want to do and how you want to do it is great.
Processes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, do the competitive analysis.
What
see
data
works.
does come out too.
Yeah.
I mean, like we now have enough that we can look and go like
100%.
I can kind of predict. I know anything with me is not going to do well. Like, we know what it is after seeing it. And now it's like, all right, so we're going to hit into a growth run here in the next 4 months. That's what we're going to try to do.
I love that.
So like, all right, now back up. Where are we going with TikTok? Where are we going with YouTube Shorts? Where are we going with, why do we have Instagram? They should be different. They should be, right? Like for a show like this, because like if you come to my Instagram platform, you want to see something different than what you see on TikTok, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I think if you want to make it as native as possible to each of the platforms, if that's like the specific kind of text, like the text bubble, right? What's natural in TikTok is different than what's natural in Instagram and YouTube Shorts. You want to have music that's attached to it in those individual platforms. I think it's totally fine to do the exact same content. I mean, there are different audiences that are seeing you, unless like somebody's following you across all of these channels.
That's like my mom. It's actually not my mom, but it's people like my mom.
Yeah, but ultimately, I don't think it really makes a difference. I think, to your point, what could be negatively impacted is your metrics. Like, if, for example, I were to see the same video from you on TikTok and Instagram, both in my For You page, maybe I'll like it on Instagram and comment, but then on TikTok, I'll be like, all right, see you later. Yeah, I think it could potentially stunt some of the content a little bit, but here's the thing, like, putting out a ton of content is just hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard, and like people think that they need a million ideas and that they need to do something completely different everywhere. But like ultimately, what you see on your For You page, even though there will be some similarities on these platforms because they're going to have an understanding of who you are. Like I've seen content from TikTok also on Instagram right after, and it's like the same day or a couple days later. I think it's okay to have the same content. You need to be able to repurpose your stuff. You need to make it a little bit easier for you. I think the biggest reason why creators burn out isn't the creative, it's the admin work. Mm-hmm. That's a big reason why I felt like a lot of burnout. It's because like I hate having to deal with posting the content. I take my video, I have to edit all this shit. Like now I need to go put it on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and do a caption and find the music. And it takes me an hour or a half hour to post one video on platforms. And I'm like, just doing that is annoying. Like I want to create, I want to make content. I want to make it interesting and exciting and valuable. But if I'm spending an hour a day just posting it, like,
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to tell me. So you're right though. I mean, the like recurring theme over and over is how much work this is. Like it looks like you take 27 seconds because that's how much is the content exists in the platform, right? And to watch it twice, it takes you a minute, right? But it took and it doesn't take as much to create it as it does. Often depends. Depends. Let me back up. Most people, it doesn't take as much to create it. There are those people, especially on YouTube, man. Like I've come across like these magic ones now. Like, what are these fucking people doing?
All the video editing. I think the best tool that you can have as a creator is being a really good video editor.
Yeah,
I think
we're pushing that in school.
I think it's an incredible talent. I mean, I've learned how to do a lot of video editing stuff like in CapCut. I don't use Premiere Pro. I don't use DaVinci Resolve. But I've watched a lot of creators just kind of teaching me stuff kind of on the fly. Oh, that's really cool. How do I incorporate it into my content? I wish I could do X, Y, Z things. Like I really want, like as a creator, I really want to make incredible content. Like the reason why I never made a course, and I think that's a big thing a lot of people ask me, is like, why don't you make an Excel course? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I'm like, I do want to make a course. I really do. But I see so many courses out there, and there's some people who are creators who make courses. I don't watch their stuff. Based off of their content, I'm sure it's probably mediocre and like pretty boring. I want it to be super fun and engaging. I want you to watch a course that I make and obviously learn, but be entertained. You're sitting there for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. You're like, this is a good movie. This is a great show. But like you're learning and sitting there doing Excel with me,
Everybody always says that, but I mean, I have 20 years of teaching.
Yeah.
It's like, you might get a good 10 minutes in a class. When you move to digital, it's even worse. I mean, one of the reasons we do this as podcast is because this is much better than like online lectures.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Like just having conversations is better than online. Anything is better than an online lecture.
Yep.
Then you have like the old dude or the person that barely is able to speak with a slide deck and they read the slide deck. That's pretty bad. 300 people in a classroom or something, right? Like that's a pretty low that's 50. I think I just covered 50% of all teaching right there. Like bad video classes plus large scale classes reading a slide deck.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
it's all biology.
I think most college is kind of nonsense. I mean, I've definitely prescribed to the like go to college. It's a great learning experience to like meet people and engage. I don't really use anything from my college experience in my professional world. Like, yes, I know finance to a degree. I studied Japanese in college. I don't speak Japanese. Like, I know a little bit. I watch anime and like that's cool to kind of pick up words here and there, but like I am not in finance, and anything that I would have learned on the job in banking would have been on the job. Like 90% of what I learned in college wouldn't have been applicable.
Like, you know, don't you need like a base education in life? I mean, and that's where
I do. Like, I agree with that. But I think what people learn and what they need to learn should be different. You know, I think, you know, obviously taking an English course at 20 years old, you've taken English for 14 years. What do you not know about English? Sure, you're going to read new things. You're going to learn new stuff. You're going to write more papers. I think, you know, having a general understanding of business is really important. I think the thing that I think you learn most going to college is how to work with people and how to develop relationships. That was the biggest thing for me. It was like, you know, yeah, I learned some stuff in college, but ultimately like the way that I was able to understand people from an emotional intelligence standpoint and like how they're looking at it from their perspective and maybe how I can build better relationships with people. That was the most valuable thing for me in college, just because I didn't get that in high school.
The put out content, comparative analysis.
Yeah.
Number 3.
I know. I was going to ask you when we're getting back to it. I think it's not from like a specific Excel standpoint, but almost like it kind of ties into the competitive analysis side of it, but just watch content analytically. Even if it's not in your niche or industry or whatever you're doing, why did people like this? Like, what is the sentiment? Sentiment analysis, I think, is one of the most important things that a lot of brands don't really pay attention to as much. Like, and it's the same thing for creators. Like, yes, we engage with the comments a little bit, but like really understand how people are perceiving content. Like, why did something work? Like, I think that's probably one of the biggest things. It's not like a tit for tat on like data very specifically, but still analytical of like, watch content without trying to be entertained. Why did this specific moment in this video kind of hook you? Right? Watch it once for entertainment, then watch it back again from an analytics standpoint, or like, a breakdown like piece of it. Like you're watching a highlight reel from like a sports like video. Oh, he broke this tackle. Oh, he did a high step. Oh, he did the Heisman. Like why? Like what was so good in that individual route that he ran that was so incredible? Do that in content. And I think if you do the sentiment stuff too, you can kind of bridge together why people are watching you. I never came up with the name XL Daddy. That wasn't even me. I started my account as a completely different name. And then I'm not going to say it, but for legal reasons, a buddy of mine who's an IP lawyer was like, maybe you should change it because you don't want to get sued by the company that's actually known as that. And I was reading my comments and like, oh, XL man, XL guy. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. And then they're like, XL Daddy's the best. And I'm like, whoa,
dude,
that's
you're
hilarious.
The pimp of Excel.
I guess so, you know, XL Daddy in the sheets. That's what they say.
Yes, of course they do.
Yeah.
If you were going to start making content again, what would you make? What would your lane be?
Oh man. I mean, from a personal standpoint,
yeah, like from taking the approach that you just lined up, how would you find your lane?
I'd probably go into the cooking space.
Okay.
I think that, you know, there's so much opportunity from a branding perspective, but also from a business perspective. You can sell cookbooks, you can do classes, it's still very educational, and you can basically get emails from people almost immediately because of your recipes. And brands really want to work with you. Like as a creator, what is the goal? If the goal is to have fun and do content and hang out with your friends, cool.
Boats and hoes.
The Pinta Maria. What is it? The
Nina
the Pinta the Santa Maria. Yeah, we don't. Yeah. I love Step Brothers, but I think you need to have a goal with what you're doing on content. Are you going for brands? Are you trying to build a business? Like, what is the purpose of you doing this? Because if you're doing it for fun, eventually you're going to stop having fun. But I think if I were to do this as a creator, I'd want to be a cooking creator. Or I think being a lifestyle creator is great. I wish I was a lifestyle creator, just going about my day.
A thing?
Yeah, it's like reality TV. People are there to watch what you do, to see your life, to engage with you. You don't have to do anything in particular.
Dude, why don't you do that then? I mean,
my life right now is behind a computer and trying to build my stuff, you know?
Yeah, but there's still people.
Yeah.
There are people people watch you on Excel. Like, come on. I mean,
you know, I've been thinking about that more, about like making content in other ways for social for the win. The thing is, though, it's like, how much time do you have in a day, realistically? You know,
24 hours.
Well, you got to sleep at some point.
So, all right, take 7.5 for sleep. Now you're down to 16.5.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, if you're trying to do outreach and build a business, that takes, let's say 9 to 5 is me working on this social for the win stuff, right? Then I'm trying to build these events as well, which is another 2-3 hours a day of just straight up outreach, like on LinkedIn to creators individually.
What are you good at?
What am I good at?
Yeah, like shouldn't you be spending your time at what you're great at? Like the thing you're best at? Like, shouldn't that be it?
I think the thing I'm best at is creative strategy. Like that's what I want to do. I just have to get hired to do it.
Why? Wait, I think you're I would challenge that.
So
come on, like creative strategy. Like figure out a way to.
Well, that's why
you just did. Like, why can't you take three brand creators and build it?
3 brand creators.
Yeah, 3 creators in different brand niches.
So I don't want to work with creators in that regard. Right. I don't want to be a manager or a creator COO.
You could be like the daddy.
I've been talking to a lot, because I've been hosting these events. I've been meeting a lot of creators, and I'm doing that to build relationships. I'm telling them stuff about their strategy. I'm helping them figure it out. I don't really want to be involved in that capacity. For me, like, I want to work with the brands. Like so
why don't you build a business that works with the brands?
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do.
But do you know who the brands work with?
Creators.
So
that's a big thing that
my Excel may not be as good as your Excel, but my math is pretty fantastic.
You're killing it. I think what I've kind of thought over the past month or two is how I reposition to get more into the face of brands. And to your point, creators, right? Yeah. So that's why, even though I've taken so much time off of doing Excel Daddy, I'm trying to get back into it and really incorporate myself. I think facial recognition is huge. Like you said, Jacob, I don't know who you are. I've never seen your face. Like, I need to be in the content.
Just for people that work with me, or know me or work around me, seeing my face 17 times a week is good for my business.
It's great. Yeah. People need to be able to recognize who you are on social, because once they, like, if you see somebody on social media and they're somewhat recognizable, you're like, oh, that's just a friend. Oh, I know that. That's just XL Daddy. Oh, I'm going to watch his content because he provides me that value. But if it's like, but then I have the opportunity to do so much more. If it's just the eyes and the mouth and then just right into the content, then it becomes more difficult to work with brands, because they're like, well, how do we fit into you? Like, how do we fit into your strategy? And while I can do that and talk about how I build them into the strategy, it's a little bit harder to convince them. But my thought with all of this is, as I build as a creator, I can build my business with Excel. I can, go to brands and say, hey, listen, your Ethos water. Like, I, am working until 3 a.m. on my content on like this Excel document. I need to drink water. Like, you should be my water brand or something. Come work with me, and fit them into my content very naturally. And then use that relationship and leverage to then go back to them and say, hey, well, listen, you're not doing anything on social media. That is what I do. I help brands build the strategy on how they approach social, and creative strategy in particular. Let me help you build that out, because now I've done something successfully for you as a creator, and I've built that relationship. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about positioning myself over the next 3 to 6 months, is really diving back into XL Daddy, creating content, trying to further solidify myself and my face into the content as well, seeing if I can hunt for some brand deals, and also build from the
Can you give me my phone? Let's
yeah.
We're gonna test this. I've never read a commercial, so I'm reading a commercial. I'm just going to start writing ridiculous ads for people I know, like in their companies, right? And I buy their stuff. So I get nothing for this. And then he tried to offer me some stuff, and I was like, no, because I just want to read this. So it's like Nads, Nads. They didn't pay me for this, but it's organic underwear, and I wear it.
Okay.
Right? Like, it's organic. Yeah. You wear it. Why do you wear it? Because the shit they put in cotton is really bad for your undercarriage. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen this, but it keeps coming up. And it's like science. Like, they treat cotton, as it's growing, so it's resilient in the manufacturing process.
Sure.
That causes cancer.
Oh, fun. Love that.
Women's causes all sorts of women's health issues, men's health issues. You see this? Do you know Nads? You know Nads? Dude,
I do
you gotta
podcast.
Now you do.
Yeah, you gotta love Nads.
By the way, Nads, we'll take your money. Don't listen. No,
No.
I'll take it
I'm not
on
taking
his
any.
behalf.
No,
I'll take it
Dan's
on
cool.
his
Dan's
behalf.
cool. So, like, all right. So it's like Nads. They didn't pay me, but I wear organic underwear. I do so because chemicals aren't good for your undercarriage. This is science. Like, it's real science. And we've all been poisoning ourselves down there. So spring the extra dough to take care of your beloved junk. Buy Nads underwear. They are organic. But then you got to go to Nads under, Nads under, UNDER.com to get better for your balls underwear.
Mm-hmm.
This is like their whole thing. They've built out this whole process. They've been selling it in D2C. And like, it's a really, and you're like, how do you go and sell dudes underwear?
Yeah.
Like with a straight face?
Why not?
It's like $35 a pair.
So it's good underwear. People have money.
Save
They'll
your
buy
balls
stuff.
though. Like now you still have them.
100%. I mean, let me ask you a question. So you've done the copy. How would you build it out creatively when it comes to content on social?
And so I would probably, for me, I'm not an actor, right?
You don't even have to
I
be in
can't
it.
act. So that's not how it works. I would probably read the copy sarcastically.
Okay.
Because like there's a lot of balls stuff and like there's plenty of stuff to play with there, right?
Sure.
This is bullshit. Whatever you're talking about is bullshit. What we need to do is this. You say that you want to be mistaken or you have been mistaken for one of the Wahlberg brothers. Yeah.
Oh, I've been mistaken
So
for both Wahlberg brothers.
We're doing Wahlberg.
Yeah. So
We're
you want
doing Wahlberg back in the day.
So you want me,
commercials.
Donnie Wahlberg,
Underwear model.
So
David Noble.
I'll tell you this.
Reading
stuff,
the ads.
This is
Sometimes
a
all
great
you have to
story.
do.
This is a great story.
Yeah.
This is what your balls will look like if you wear Nads.
Okay. So it's the before and really the after.
It was really sad for the people of the Handlebar Mustache bar in somewhere, Kansas.
Yeah.
Don't know where. Terrible town. Somewhere like right around, have you ever heard of the center of the continental U.S.?
Like
It's
okay.
there's like a point.
Yeah. No.
The
I haven't.
center of the continental
Okay.
U.S. If you drive there, you'll see it from miles away because it's Kansas, so it's flat.
Okay.
And you'll see this thing, and you'll be like, "Oh, there it is."
Mm-hmm.
And like you drive out, and you go, and it's just a pylon
Yeah.
and a flag.
Yeah.
Well, there's a town with like 15 blocks somewhere near there. I had a flat tire, so like they're trying to fix the flat tire. A couple of us. I'm with a guy that's like worth $500 million.
Okay.
And another person, and we're in the Handlebar Mustache restaurant, and it's like the brand new restaurant. Everyone in town is in it for lunch. It's weird. 15 blocks. Like, I'm just glad there's a tire place. And like they were so sad. They came up and they said, hey, "What is your name, sir?" And I was like, it's like David. And they're like, you could just see their face just melting, and they're like, "Thought you were Donnie Wahlberg." We all did. Like people had been coming to the restaurant to see Donnie Wahlberg stuck in their town, and it was just me.
Just
it was
disappointed.
so sad.
Oh man.
Like, well, but yeah, I get. One time I was with Mo Vaughn, and I look over, and there was Marky Mark. Providence.
Move on. The baseball player.
Mo Vaughn, the baseball player.
Yeah.
Get him.
Absolutely.
If
I
you
used to have
look
his
up,
card.
if you look up Mo Vaughn, his personal life, you'll figure out where we were.
I can piece it
I
together.
was a teenager back then, but yeah.
Oh, that's
It
crazy.
was crazy, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had run-ins with the Wahlbergs forever. I'm a very generic white guy.
The handlebar mustache thing is awesome because they think that the Wahlbergs came there because they opened that new restaurant.
Oh, they
They're like,
definitely
we're moving up.
they were like, oh my god, but they were like really.
They thought it was like an appearance fee type thing.
no, no, because there's like everybody in town knows everybody. I mean, it's not a mile long.
Oh wow.
The fact that they had a place to fix my tire was a miracle. And so, I mean, it was the smallest town. I'm like, you got any football players out here? Like anything? But yeah, Kansas is flat. The counties out there have like less than 1,000 people. So we would do underwear ads.
Yeah.
Wahlberg Marky Mark underwear ads. That's what Chris would design out for me to do. And then that, I agree.
Okay. So from a video standpoint, you would basically be doing like the Mark Wahlberg, Tidy Whitey underwear ads.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. It works. It totally does.
I don't know if it does.
Well, listen, David Beckham did it. Mark Wahlberg did it. Jeremy Allen White just did it a couple years ago. Hey, listen, it's all confidence at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I do it, but like.
Well, so you do that video how many times?
Me, if I had to read it, I'd probably do it once or
Not
50.
in terms of takes, but like you put it on social media.
Okay.
What do you do? Like how would you structure that? Would it be like, well, you're wearing tidy whities at these 30 different spots in New York, and you're just walking around, and that's the concept, and you're just kind of out there in the world wearing tidy whities for the brand. What are you doing outside of that? How does that come across on social in a creative way?
I don't know.
That's what you kind of have to figure out. It's like you have a really great idea, right? You have the copy for it. To me, that concept kind of comes across a little bit like an ad, right? So you said immediately that is, tidy whities, that's Mark Wahlberg, and that works. That ad works.
Is a challenge.
But like you have to think about how you develop this out from a creative standpoint. So like you said to me, okay, well, this is, this protects your balls. This is like, you said originally, it's good health, but like we never used to wear this. I go back, like I thought, well, Adam and Eve, right? Well, you're taking a leaf and putting it on somebody's crotch and covering them up, and they're walking around New York and asking questions about the shitty underwear that people are wearing. Why are you wearing that when we should just go back to what's organic and natural, right? Which is nudes. That's the brand.
Nads.
Excuse me.
Nads. Yeah, nudes
Nads.
is a different business. Different business.
so Nads.
It seems to be a recurring theory here.
But the other thing that you can do is like, you could literally go and talk to doctors about nuts. Right? You can go do stuff with balls. You could literally go around and just make it a whole thing about balls. And that's it doesn't have to be about the brand. You can still incorporate the brand in a really fun and natural way into the content. You can do what you're doing, but you need to have 3, 4, 5 evergreen ideas that you can create content for on a consistent basis. And you know what? The ideas that I just shared, they could all suck and they could all not work. But who's building out those ideas from a social standpoint, right? So that's kind of how I'm looking at a lot of this. It's like you as like the creative agency, you as the creator, have this really cool idea. You know what you want to say, you know what you want to build it, but like what's working on social media, right? So let me give you an example. I used to work with Mars as my biggest client. We, from January of 2021 to August of 2022, if you saw Skittles, Snickers, M&Ms, Twix bars, Starburst, that was me behind the scenes, helping them with their media buying, the creative strategy, their influencer development, all on TikTok. Like,
what was your favorite
brand? Candy? Oh, I love Reese's.
Yeah, me too.
I actually worked with Hershey's and with Mars at the same time. I don't know how that was okay, but but I used to tell people I was the Willy Wonka of TikTok. Minus the hat, Kane, and you don't want to see me do a somersault. It's not pretty.
You need to do all of that. See, I think you're missing your calling, man. I think you're highbrow missing your calling here.
But like one of the ideas that I had, so you remember the Hubba Bubba bubble tape?
Do I ever remember bubble tape?
So it's 6 feet long, right?
Yeah.
Coiled around itself. So keep that in mind as we think about this. Like one of the things that I see a lot of the time, so people are already doing interviews with people out in the streets, right?
Right.
A very common concept that people tend to talk about is how tall are men? We talked about the dating app before, right? People really care how tall men are, right? I've literally seen people like girls like, I'm not dating a guy who's 5'8", but my guy needs to be, the finance. I want a guy, finance 6'5", blue eyes. Like, she put the height in the song.
Yeah. Well,
but it's like such an important topic.
I
for
personally find it awesome that the girls are going that path.
Listen,
and then rocking the body positivity movement thing on me. Like,
but the whole thought process behind the idea is like people really care.
No, are you as tall as bubble tape, man? There you go. That I like, dude. What are you doing tomorrow?
So,
you got to switch your events.
But what
make America hot again. Like that could be you.
It could
with
work.
Bubble tape, one bubble tape at a time.
But that's the thing. People are already going out there and literally asking men, "How tall are you?" They'll pull out a tape measure. They'll fact check them. Girls are like 5'11's not a height. I used to see videos all the time of women basically putting up a ruler to 6 feet in front of their door, putting a line there and saying, guys who are not 6 feet, do not enter. What I think is funny is that like now use the bubble tape because it's 6 feet long. You integrate it into the content instead of using the tape measure, like you said. The question isn't how tall are you? It's are you taller or shorter than 6 feet? and you gamify it. If you're above 6 feet, I know you are. You're taller than me. You're killing it, man. But if you're above 6 feet, you win a piece of Hubba Bubba bubble tape. You win the bubble tape. If you're a short king, whatever that's designated as, I don't know if that's a specific height, like 5'7", 5'10".
Is that
5'4".
like Excel Daddy? Excel Daddy's short kings?
No, Excel Daddy. I would say Excel Daddy is here.
I'm old.
And short kings are here.
I don't know what these things are.
But that's the thing. That's the nomenclature in today's culture. Like people say short kings. If you're a short king, you win a piece of Hubba Bubba and like a small little piece.
Oh, yeah.
And it starts the conversation. It's fun and engaging.
Did you do this?
No, I didn't.
You should. See, you're missing your whole calling with your highbrow beliefs about corporate America, man.
I don't really believe in corporate America.
The way
at this
you
point.
dominate is you win one thing over and over again until there's nobody left, and then you win the next thing.
I've been thinking about doing that too. I have these ideas, just go out and shoot them. And then say to the brand, listen, I already have this content for you. Here's what the success looked like. Take the concept and go run with it.
Yeah, and that's why I go back. I would take the creators that don't know what they're doing and roll up a dozen videos and chop a dozen. Walk into Dove and be like, here's a dozen videos. Like, I'm your new creative agency. Like, that's it.
Well, that's what the UGC stuff is really good for. Like, I already have 50 creators that I've contracted to go do UGC. Cheaper, cost, faster movement than traditional creators. The thing is, like, I don't have the relationship to say, hey, go make content, because it's, it's different. Like, these aren't my friends. It's different than the creators that I'm meeting on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So I totally understand your point. I think I'm trying to figure out that final strategy of how I'm really building this out in a way that like immediately impacts brands and that they're going to come to me with opportunity.
How big do you think your business is?
Right now?
No. How big do you think it is in 5 years?
On
your current path.
On my current path? I mean, my goal for what I want it to be is I want it to be a $50 million content production, social first strategy company. Mm-hmm. That's the path. That's the goal. Ultimately, I want to be working with clients and brands, but really my goal is to build out social first shows, is to have 40 to 50 channels of concepts and content like I'm telling you, and just have people producing it for me. Mm-hmm. That's where I see it going. That's what I'm hoping to get to. And then I could sell it, to a bigger agent, to big agency. Where I'm at today.
And then you only have to do about 3 years with that agency. And then,
which I'd be, then I'd be 37, 38. Okay. I'm 29 right now. I just think I'm not worried about where I'm going to be at 60 or 70 from a money standpoint. I want that today. I want the success today. I want in the next 3 to 5 years. I want to have that kind of money and live the lifestyle that I want. I'm not going to get it in corporate America.
No, not at all. But you're also like, there's a methodology. So just back out, put a pinpoint in time, put a sales price, put an exit time, and just back out the KPIs to that. And you'll magically show you the direction. And I don't know, like the ability for you to say what you want to do is really good, because most people can't do that. Mm-hmm. So if you can wrap that up, back it out in the KPIs, right? And you're going to need X amount of growth, and so that means where do you need to be in a year, right? Yeah, and exactly. Build this thing for a year, and then build it again a year after. Yeah, and I think you're going to have to rebuild the same thing in different formations and different sizes 3 or 4 times.
Sure,
and then you'll have 3 years of growth.
Yeah,
and then you're out.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking. I've seen some guys do that too, where they're like, "Hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to be at 35. This is where I need to be. Like, this is where I'm at today." Like you're saying, backing into it, essentially building out the strategy.
Yeah,
you
even know how to do the spreadsheet. You do all the formulas.
I can do all the formulas.
Dude, do all that. You gave me a content idea walking around in my underwear. I gave you one on the spreadsheet.
Hey,
put it, $50 million, 38th birthday.
Yeah.
Cash out. Back
what does it look like?
That's a 1 minute and 1 second TikTok.
And you know what? I can do that 100 times, because it's now
over and over
now at 35. I want a 10 million. Let's say I'm a 20-year-old college student. I'm at 25 years old. I want to have 5 million in the bank. This is how you're going to do it.
Show the formula. Show the formula on this, right?
And then you sell a document that kind of shows them exactly how to do it. Put your age in. Put your information in. Put your revenue in. Whatever
you can call it the Noble.
The Noble.
The Noble.
Okay. I might have to now. I feel like I kind of have to call it the Noble.
To me, that's the way to do it. If you have a specific idea where you want to go, now you have to retain the right personally, this is a conversation with yourself where you look in the mirror and you go, I retain the right to change my fucking mind at any point in this process.
Of course, yeah.
But like, this is what I'm going to go down.
I mean, you know, I've been thinking a lot about where I'm at today because I've been doing this for like a year and a half now, building this company, and it's hard, you know, transparently. I'm really trying to build it out. Like, you know, I've found some cool clients. I've struggled to find like long-term retainer-based work.
And everybody else.
Yeah, everybody is. It's hard.
When I was your age, I tried to do the same thing.
But like, I'm from New York originally. Lived here almost my entire life. I moved back to the city when I was out of college, and then COVID happened, moved back home, some other stuff. Like I was in Miami last summer, and currently I'm back in my parents' house in Westchester. But over the past 7 or 8 months, I've just been going out and meeting people. I've been going to events. I've been building I have never made more relationships of such incredible value and strength than over the past 8 to 9 months. And I think if anything happens with my business and it doesn't take off to where I need it to be, just the fact that I've been able to do that, I think has been so valuable for me. But ultimately, like, I need to get back into the city. I need to live my life. I've been thinking about maybe going back full time, but not stopping anything. Maybe go to a brand and see if I can leverage that brand name opportunity to bring people to my events, to build more of those relationships, to continue to consult, but with the ultimate goal of having that, you know, like you were saying, 8-year strategy and backing into it. Well, if it's taking me X amount of time and you know, I'm facing this much of a challenge to get brands and other people to come to my events, which is ultimately how I'm trying to build my lead gen and sales pipeline. If I go to a brand and now I'm a colleague and not just, you know, a hunter, like, hey, give me your business, give me your money, like I'm just trying to chat and build a relationship, then over time I can very easily, you know, turn that into opportunity. I just think all of this is time. It's how much time can you dedicate? It's how much time are you willing to give to it? And it's, you know, how much time can you go without, right? Without having the revenue that you want, right? So I'm trying to figure it all out, but ultimately, like, very focused on doing my own thing at the end of the day.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing. I mean, I think it's, and thank you for the Nads underwear idea. I now have a different, but ridiculous concept in my head.
That's all you need.
That again works.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.